Hi, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, or in some order as it is, wherever you are in the world. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us for today's live Q&A, which happens every weekday, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific to 5:30 Pacific, right here on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, on Facebook on Mondays and Fridays, and on YouTube if you're watching the recording of this, along with wherever else I post this long video clip. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi again. We're going to jump in and talk about and take your immigration questions as they pop up. And thank you as people are trickling in, getting ready to ask your questions. I want to remind you that this is just informational only. The stuff we're talking about here is not intended for individual legal advice. You should consult with an attorney in private for something like that. I could just give general ideas and explanations on what the nature of immigration law is on certain topics. And see what else. Yeah, so if you want to contact me, my email is info@jqqlaw.com. If you haven't already, please follow on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, on Facebook, JQK Law Firm. In the video, please subscribe, like, and ring that bell. It's JQK Law Firm, and you get a bunch of videos like this, little tips and shorter videos of information I do. Just a lot of information for those going through the immigration process, planning to go through it, or wanting to get more information and knowledge about it. It's there and it's a great resource, and we get to know each other and try to help the community. So if you have some questions, we're live right now on Facebook and on TikTok. Shoot out your questions and we can go into it. So much is changing every day as we're dealing with the immigration mess. One issue that popped up that was really problematic that I want to share with you all is regarding Form I-693. That's the form that you submit if you're filing for adjustment of status in the United States, and it's a medical checkup form. So when you do a medical checkup for a green card case, you go to a doctor, a civil surgeon. There are people that have special certification from USCIS to do the medical checkup, and they check you, and they check your lungs, for example, for tuberculosis, for syphilis, for gonorrhea. They also check to see if you have any mental health issues, all this kind of stuff that they may have problems with allowing you before you get a green card. They want to check it out. And also they give you some vaccines, or they mark that those vaccines are not necessary in your case. Now there's a lot of pages in this form that the doctor is supposed to fill out, and there's tons of boxes they have to check off to say you're good, bad, or something like that. And most people have no problems. They just check no, okay, 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 okay. But because there's so many boxes, every once in a while, I would say 1 out of maybe 10 to 20 times, a doctor forgets to mark one of the boxes. And that's why it's really important that not only you get the sealed envelope copy from the doctor for giving to USCIS, but you need to ask for an additional copy on your own so you can review it. Now, if you don't have familiarity with the form, it's going to be hard for you to review it, but I always tell my clients you have to get additional copies so I can review it, because I said 1 out of 10 to 1 out of 20 times, the doctors miss one of the boxes. And if they do, the USCIS cannot accept that medical checkup because it's incomplete. Now, historically, if a USCIS officer saw something was incomplete, they'll tell the client or applicant, okay, go back to the doctor, have them finish this up, bring it back to us. We'll issue a request for evidence, RFE, no problem, we have time to do that. But recently, ever since President Trump has come out, I've been seeing cases contacting me and colleagues contacting me about this, saying that they were missing one box like on a vaccine, and they just denied the case. So it's a crazy situation to go through the extreme of denying it, because then you have to file an appeal, which costs a lot of money, a lot of time. Sometimes what I would do is try to contact the local office and try to talk my way into having to accept that was an honest mistake and to fix it. But they don't have to do that if you don't file an official appeal and pay the fee. So there's risks that as well, or you may need to file the appeal anyways, even if you do reach out. Either way, it's a mess. So there's ways to deal with that. You should consult the immigration, contact my office if the problem pops up. We'll see how you can deal with it. Just work fast if that happens. But the bigger thing is this, get an additional copy of the doctor's report, review it, just make sure all the boxes are checked, or have your lawyer look at it too, because it's a really dumb issue to have a case denied because the doctor didn't mark one of the boxes properly. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, because a lot of people have cases that are going to go through this. So have to be mindful and be careful of that. Okay, so we had a couple of questions that popped up. Let's go start what it was. Is this stuff causing me? Okay, so Safe asks, when NBC going to schedule interviews outside the United States? So this is a long kind of questions that I'm going to stop answering, because this is timeline kind of questions. I'll give you a general idea. The embassies are closed right now. They're not doing interviews due to the coronavirus. So when you're asking me when will they start scheduling interviews again, whenever you feel safe and whenever the government and those foreign people, whoever it is in charge, feel safe that if they go out and do these public kind of things, the coronavirus risk is low, that's when they'll start scheduling interviews again. It's kind of an obvious answer in light of what everyone's going through in the world, but this is it. So a lot of questions I do pop up, but I decided to just say, you know, I don't know the answer, or I'll just skip them, because these timeline questions with the coronavirus and everything is up, is down, and down is up. You know, there's no answer to these kind of things, and I'm sure you all know this kind of stuff for yourselves. Ready to schedule? Okay, we have another question about timelines. So yeah, I won't answer questions about timelines anymore, but if you have other questions, let me know. On Facebook, probably some similar question. It says, hi, my case stuck in 221G since November 2018. What can I do? So administrative processing is an issue that pops up for people doing consular processing to get their green card through the embassy. And if in some cases, after the interview, the government says, we have to do administrative processing, to do more research on your case. And there's no deadline for them to give a response. So this could linger on for years sometimes, and I've seen it linger on for years. But if that does happen to you, in this case, this gentleman right here says, since November 2018, it's been a year and a half of waiting. What you should do is consult with an immigration and look over your case to see, is there something in particular that's causing them to do that? And if it is, it's very obvious, okay, we know what that is. But if there isn't, you could potentially file a lawsuit against the government for delaying the case. Now, it doesn't mean the case is going to get approved, but you can potentially file a lawsuit, and we've seen if the case doesn't have major problems to it, then they just approve it. Ali follows up with that. Will an active warrant show up in the USCIS background check and will affect my visa? Yes, if you have an active warrant, that's a big problem. So, you know, you should consult the immigration attorney in private. If you have criminal history, that's going to be a problem. You should have told them, because that's going to create, you know, issues. So I'd recommend not talking about something like that in a public forum like this. Go immediately, and you should have 3 years ago consult with the immigration attorney, but go talk with the immigration attorney. Yeah, if you have a warrant, it doesn't matter if it shows up background checks or not. You have to tell the government, and it's an inadmissibility issue where you can have a problem, so we'll leave it at that. All right, so on TikTok, we had a couple of questions. If they're non-timeline related, we'll talk about it. Okay, timeline, sibling birthday, how long? The long story. Okay, so one question about USCIS. USCIS has generally opened up. They said they opened up June 4th, but it doesn't mean they've actually opened up in the offices that are happening. So the immigration office is technically open, but they're not opening up for interviews necessarily, and each field office is different, so you just have to wait to see what happens with scheduling. Ali asks, hi sir, USCIS asked for siblings' birth certificate. The one I submitted, it's registered after LNG. I'm not sure what you mean, but what you have to do is get the proper birth certificate for your brother to show you have the same parents, and your own birth certificate as well. If you go to a page on the State Department's website called Visa Reciprocity, the Visa Reciprocity page, and you find your country, it has a description of how the U.S. government expects your brother's birth certificate to look like. And it should match that. And if it doesn't, they're not going to accept it. And so that's one of the first things we do in a consultation. We check the documents and we compare them against how the government expects it. And many times it's not right, or it's not properly filled out, or it's a short version of a long certificate, all this kind of stuff. I don't know what's going on in your case without reviewing the documents. If you want to schedule a consultation, let me know and we can check that out. But that's as much information as I give here. Just you got to make sure you have the right documentation, the way the government, the U.S. government, wants to see it, or else they're not going to accept it. Seemti asks, will going to protest hurt immigration case? Well, it can, because if you're going to these protests and you get arrested, that could be a criminal charge, and it can hurt your immigration case. So if you're an immigrant, frankly, unless you're a U.S. citizen, I don't recommend going to protest at all. Unless you're really rebellious and you want to really, go out there and express yourself and do what you got to do. But it's not wise for you to leave your house and participate in any of this unless you're a U.S. citizen. Even as a green card holder, these issues can come back and become a problem, and naturalization, and potentially cause deportation as well, depending on what you're doing exactly and what they accuse you of. And that goes into a really important thing. If you have a green card, you should get citizenship. You should apply for citizenship as soon as possible. I have clients all the time to come to my office and been green card holders for 20 years, and all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, I want to do it now. I'm like, we should have done this 15 years ago. Let's do it now. That's fine. That's good. But you never know. They've changed the rules. You get caught up. Imagine you're not even a protester. You're just walking down the street, and all of a sudden, the protests happen next to you, and the cops, you know how the cops get carried away sometimes, and they pull you in and accuse you of assaulting a police officer or something like that. You know, in these riots, you know, you bump into a cop that might accuse you of assault. And assaulting a police officer is a felony. That's deportation right there. So on that, don't get involved in these protests unless you're a U.S. citizen. And secondly, if you're a green card holder, hurry up and file for citizenship if you have a good case. There's no reason not to. Karen on Facebook asks, what level of success have you seen for filing ombudsman requests for a case outside of normal processing time? If a case outside normal processing time, you need to reach out to USCIS first to see what's going on. And ombudsman only handles USCIS cases. So you got to reach out to them first to get explanation. If it's not good, then reach out to a congressperson and then reach out to ombudsman. I haven't used the ombudsman as much. Colleagues have. It's worth a shot. But again, try with USCIS first, try a congressperson first, and then go to ombudsman. Or maybe try USCIS first and then ombudsman. It's worth a shot. You got nothing to lose on that, so it's worth a shot. But you know, level of success, chance of success, every case is different. You know, with immigration, every time you file a case, it goes to one officer. And you never know who that officer is and how they're feeling that day. So that same officer could approve one case one day and take the same case tomorrow and deny it. So this, when people ask about levels and chance of success and stuff, there's no answer to this. If you have the ability to do something, do it. If you don't, that's it. So if your case has been pending for a while and USCIS is not giving you the runaround, then yeah, go and contact the ombudsman. Why not give it a shot? Okay, so Bushag asks, I'm filing for I-130 and have my I-94. That I need to have my travel history. I couldn't pull it up. Okay, so for the I-130, you don't need to. I-130 is a petition for an alien relative. That's when a relative is filing for your green card, starting the process for the green card. You don't even need to have your I-94 for that. What you probably mean is the I-485 adjustment of status, which requires your I-94. You do not need your travel history, but it's good for your own self to see where you've been, where not. But no, for adjusting status in the United States, you need to prove that you have lawful entry. And you can show that with the stamp in your passport you entered or the I-94 form. Those are the main ways to show the online I-94. That should be sufficient. Travel history is not mandatory, but it helps sometimes just to see where you actually entered the last time you came to the U.S. because you might not remember, for example. Okay, 140 I love you says, I applied my green card last month. When received my fingerprint date, I moved different state, Hawaii. Oh, your sentence is really garbled up, so I don't know. It's biometrics appointments that are where they do fingerprintings have been shut down, so they have. So it's slow to get back up and get your turn for fingerprinting, but you have to update USCIS if you do make a change of address, online form AR11. I hope you did that. Hopefully they didn't send a biometrics appointment notice if there was one sent out to the old address, because that becomes a problem. Definitely call them up just to double check, and also call them, do the online AR11, but then call them to double check that they have the right address. That's as much as I can tell you, especially because your sentence was not clear. Labe asks, how long is wait for citizenship? That's for F4 immigrants. The question's muddled up, but I'm not answering questions about timelines. Nazir says, good to see you, my friend. I had an appointment on April 15th. I should wait for rescheduling. San Diego, yeah, April 15th, the USCI is closed, so you have to wait for them to reschedule the appointment for the interview, whenever that is. You have to be patient. Unfortunately, the coronavirus canceled everything out. Shars asks, I applied for my I-751 last year in August, did biometrics. How long does it take to receive my green card? Okay, I generally won't answer questions about timelines, but here, a person did removal of conditions, which means they had a green card based on marriage, but because the marriage was new, they have to file another application 2 years later called Form I-751. How long does that take? Well, usually for regular people, it takes about a year, half to 2 years. On average, my cases get done within a year because when I prep them myself. I just got one approved yesterday after 7 months. But how long will it take for you? I don't know. I don't know how well you did your case. I don't know how well you could document your relationship. They might not trust you and might start doing investigations into your personal life, which takes longer. It may take years. So there's no answer to how long it'll take. It'll just take how long it's going to take. But you should consult a lawyer to review the paperwork, see how well you did, and potentially filing for citizenship while the case is pending. But again, we need to know what's going on in your case, what kind of documentation you have, what you submitted to the government, how well you did it. There's a lot of stuff going on there that needs to be reviewed. Beard Boy asks, how do I know my interview was scheduled? Does the case tracker change it to anything? Okay, so USCIS, once you start a case, if you go to their website, uscis.gov, they have a case tracker where if you put your receipt number in, it tells you what's going on. But that system isn't reliable. It's only like, I don't know, 70% of the time would I say it's reliable. You'll know you got an appointment notice when you get it in the mail. Now, sometimes USCIS says they send it, they didn't, or sometimes the mail loses it. These are all problems, but you'll know your schedule for appointment once you get the letter and the notice in the mail. If you have a lawyer, the lawyer gets a copy as well. So that's the great thing about having a lawyer on the cases. You get a copy, a lawyer gets a copy at their address. So there's two people getting appointment notices in case one of them is lost or doesn't come, the other person knows. At this point, you can add a lawyer in your case. I'm not sure if it'll be a ton of lawyer. Maybe it probably will be. But you'll know when you get the notice in the mail, and hopefully that works. Tarslan asked, my husband appointment for immigration physical. Okay, so you went to the physical on June 25th. Otherwise, it will expire. I don't understand. Your question is not clear, Tarslan. I'm sorry. If you can make it clear. If not, schedule a consultation in my office and we can discuss it, how the medical timeline works. If you get your medical within 2 months of filing for adjustment of status or after filing for adjustment of status, it's valid for 2 years, and 2 years from the time the doctor signed it. So that's the general overview of that question. But what can I do? Appointments aren't scheduled. I got to review your case. I'm not sure what's going on. If the 2 years go by and you still don't have an appointment and your medical expires, then you just have to get a new medical. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. Forever Gone asks, if I report my husband to immigration now that he used me to get his green card, will they deport him? I don't know. There's a lot of people that have valid marriages that may have not used them, and they have angry spouses that accuse them of this. So it depends on your case. I don't have experience in this area. I don't help people deport people. That's not my job. And so I don't know. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but it depends on the case and a lot of different factors. But it's not something I do, so I'm not a resource for that. Green Shades asks, any update about K1 visa? Well, there's nothing much to update. You can file the K1 petition for I-1 to INF, no problem. Eventually an interview happens at the embassy. Embassies have been shut down, so until the embassies open up, we don't know. Now, some embassies have been saying the immigrant visa travel ban applies to K1 visa holders who are non-immigrant visa holders. But I was reading a discussion the American Immigration Lawyers Association had with the State Department in March, and I was reading through the transcript of it, and they specifically said they consider K1 visas non-immigrant visas. As such, the travel ban that President Trump put for immigrant visa holders should not apply to them. So I'm going to try to send my contacts that are connected with the State Department to question and analyze that issue to see that inconsistency with what they said. But generally, there's nothing to update. Embassies are closed down, so that's for everybody. If you have the interest in a K1 fiancé visa case, you should submit and get it started. And if it's accepted and approved, then you should prep the paperwork for the embassy to have that ready. And that's about it. So that's that. Vusha, you're welcome. Liza asks, no, I mean, when can I apply for citizenship with an F4? The F4 category, none of that matters. So if you have a green card, minimum of 5 years, you can file for citizenship. The F4, F1, none of that makes any difference. That's why it's confusing, why you include that. Let's see. You're welcome, Beard Boy. Apple asks, how many years will I wait before I can apply for citizenship, obtain my green card in December 2017? Now, I need to know more information about your case, how you obtained your green card. It could be 3 years if you are married to a U.S. citizen and living that since that time. It could be a minimum of 5 years, minimum of 3 or 5, depending on if you're married and living with a U.S. citizen or not. But we need to know more about your history, what's been going on in your life before I could answer that. So please, best thing to do is consult with an immigration attorney in private. Maybe talk to a couple people. There's a lot of things you can review. I-143, I love you. Ask you apply asylum case in Hawaii also. I just don't do asylum cases, so I'm not an asylum attorney. But if you email me, I don't know if I have a colleague in Hawaii, but the thing is, if you file for asylum case in Hawaii, I think you still have to do your interview in Anaheim, California, in Orange County, south of Los Angeles. So, excuse me, you might just want to have a Los Angeles attorney anyway. So if you email me, I could just describe your case. I can connect you with one of my colleagues who will potentially help you file your asylum case and go to the interview with you when it happens, if it's at the Los Angeles office, which I think it is, or the Anaheim office. CMG asks tips on where people going through the process can get health insurance. Fortunately, I don't have any tips on that. I try not to get into commercial arrangements with other parties. So one thing people do is they develop relationships with these companies as sponsors, but they don't tell people. I don't want to even have that kind of relationship. And they change. So I might say this health insurance is good, but I'm not the one getting that health insurance. So I don't know if it actually is good or not. You might pay money and they might not pay out. So I don't want to recommend something I can't verify. So I don't have any tips, and I wouldn't really listen to most people that would give you a tip because they don't know. Unless they have the insurance themselves in the same position you are, they're not making a profit off it. Green Shade asks, for K1 visa, that's the fiance visa, do I need to show income and how much? Eventually you will need to show your income. How much depends on your family size and a lot of other stuff. So that goes into giving case-specific advice for your background. I would say consult with a lawyer to review it, to see how your income looks and how much it is. If it's just you and your spouse, right now it's around $22,000, $21,000. But I need to review exactly what's going on in your case to be able to advise on that. Because with the new public charge rule, not only are they looking at your basic income for what's called Form I-864 affidavit of support, but they're also looking at the public charge requirement and looking at that income as well, the foreign fiance, foreign spouse, as well as how much you make together as a couple. So we got to really analyze the numbers and how it looks. That's the main thing to do it. Sid Hugari asks, crewmen apply asylum? Well, generally a crewman can't apply for adjustment of status green card in the U.S. Asylum, they probably can. I just, consult with an immigration attorney in private about these kind of stuff. There's more to it than just that one sentence. We got to get into that case and see what's going on. Room 535 asks, immigration court changes my hearing date because okay, you didn't finish your sentence. I don't know what to tell you. CT asks, no problem. Thank you for answering as always. You're welcome, CT. I appreciate the kudos and the love too. I appreciate that. Apple asks, I came here on an H-1B visa in 2015 and granted green card in December 2017. I'm a teacher. Okay, that's great. So minimum of 5 years, you have to wait minimum. Whether it's more or not depends on the details of your case and what you've been up to and your taxes and all this kind of stuff and arrests. So, if you'd like to schedule a consultation in my office, just email me at info@jqqlaw.com and we can schedule a time to have a video consultation. Please note fees do apply, but if you email me, I'll let you know how much the consultation fee is. I don't get into that discussion here. BB's ask, Mary City get conditions, green card 2019, when is City? Marriage citizen gets, I don't know what you mean by city, C-I-T. I'm not sure what you mean. Baby, please reframe your question and we'll see what's going on. Alexander asks, in conditional green card, will the 2 years count for the 3-year citizenship? Yeah, so when you get your conditional green card and after 2 years you file for removal of conditions, at the 3-year mark, you can file for U.S. citizenship if you've been married and living with the U.S. citizenship. So that goes back, the citizenship is counted from the second you got the initial green card, not when the removal of conditions green card is granted. So you could do that. And BB's, I still don't understand your question. You got to reprint it all in full so I can properly read and understand. I got a lot of words coming back and forth, and so if something's not clear, I can't help, especially because I'm trying to give a legal answer. I can't try to guess at what's going on. Would it be helpful? So yeah, for removal of conditions, this is something that happens for a lot of people. Is they have a removal of condition case pending, and they mistakenly think that they need a 10-year green card to be granted before they can file for citizenship, but that's not the case. Green Shades asks, does K1 visa require affidavit of support? Yes, a K1 fiance visa requires 2 affidavit of supports. One, at the embassy stage from I-134, it's an affidavit of support for a non-immigrant visa. And 2, once the foreign fiance enters the United States and you get married and you apply for adjustment of status in the U.S., there's another affidavit of support from I-864 that's required. So yeah, any family sponsorship type of case requires an affidavit of support, and that's mandatory. There are some exceptions here and there, but in general, it's mandatory that you file the affidavit of support. And you got to be mindful of the new financial requirements of the Form I-944 affidavit of self-sufficiency to show out the foreign person can take care of themselves. They have health insurance, so they're going to get it. They have education, they have skills, their English is good, all this kind of stuff. It's stuff that they're going to look over. We haven't seen how they're going to analyze this stuff yet because, again, the rule began in February 24th. The public charge rule has been around for 140 years, but the way they're going to start reviewing it just started in February 24th, and soon after that, USCIS shut down and the embassy shut down. So the test cases we had to see how this is happening still haven't happened, so we don't know. Arsalan says, USCIS reopening on 28 June completely because applying for citizenship. Okay, so first of all, USCIS, there's no date when it's going to completely reopen. It depends on the field office. However, if you're filing for citizenship, it doesn't matter. They've been accepting citizenship applications this whole time. There's never a stop to that. So what you need to do is file it and then be patient for that to happen. Alexander asks, so will you be able to, yeah, so Alexander, follow up, yeah, if you have an I-751 case pending, you can still file for citizenship while it's pending. But again, you got to make sure the details of the case are right. So in general, a person can file for citizenship. Whether you can file for citizenship, I don't know, because I don't know the facts of your case and your background and what you've been up to. So that's very important to get into all that first before I'm able to tell somebody, yeah, go and do this or go and do that. I don't want you to trigger something that's going to get you in trouble without reviewing the case myself. And for citizenship, there's a lot of things they're going to look at, and they got more strict since President Trump came in. They got so strict that they have a second team micromanaging the people that initially review and interview your case. So you have multiple eyes looking at it for reasons to deny it. It happens all the time. Jet asks, employment-based EB-3 is banned or not after Trump executive order? Well, the EB-3 is someone who's unskilled labor comes to the United States, get a green card through work. The starting the case is not banned. The part that's banned is if once you go once the interview is set at the embassy, they can't issue a green card or the immigrant visa, not the green card. You don't get the green card until you enter the United States. They can't issue the immigrant visa at the embassy for EB-3 cases. And this has been around since late May for 60 days minimum. So another month and a half of this. But the embassies have been closed and will be closed in the near term. So Trump's executive order doesn't make a difference practically because the embassies are shut down. So we got to wait to see what's going on with the embassies, what's going on with the unemployment rate, all this kind of stuff. So if you have a case, just go through it and be patient. If you're already in the United States, you can file for adjustment of status if your case is current, your priority date is current. I'm not going into too much detail what that means, but if you have an EB-3 case, you know what that means for sure. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you maintain status here, let's say you're on an H-1B and your EB-3 has been pending, when the time comes, you can file for adjustment of status in the United States. And right now, for a lot of these cases, they're waiving the interview requirement. So you don't have to do an interview. So the shutdown of USCIS does not affect your case, the shutdown of the interviews. You could just do your case like normal and it's fine. So that's something I would do. Green Shades follows up, is unemployment public charge? No, generally no. Unemployment is not public charge because it's not a means test of benefit. It's something you get because you paid into it. So if you're a green card holder who's getting unemployment, as long as you don't lie about it or some sort of fraud going on, it's not a problem for public charge purposes. It's not considered public charge. Now, if you got a non-immigrant visa, a temporary work visa, you got to be careful for getting unemployment because when you get unemployment, you say, I don't have a job and I'm looking for a new job. But you can't have like a work-based visa without a job. So that becomes a little sketchy. You should consult a lawyer on that kind of stuff. Jet Life, thank you. You're welcome. Pax asks, are the embassies and U.S. embassies waiving the interview? Not that I know of. No, they have to do the interview. It's just a mandatory part of it. Very rarely would they waive interviews for like children or minors or something like that. They rarely waive interviews for anything at the embassies for immigrant visas. Non-immigrant visas, they used to waive some interviews, but when President Trump came, he said everyone has to do an interview. He really rejiggered the system a lot and created a lot of delays because of that. But that's the situation right now. So we got a couple minutes left. We'll get a couple of your last questions. Sharif asks, can you apply for unemployment with the work permit? I don't know. I have to see your case to see what's going on. I don't want to advise on something like that until I know exactly. And especially when you say filing for unemployment, that's not immigration per se. That's a state law of unemployment. And so I don't want to give legal advice because I don't know what state you're in. And I'm not an unemployment or employment lawyer, so I don't want to help with that and give guidance on something I don't specialize in. Jet Life says premium processing for I-140 is resumed. So they have begun resuming premium processing for cases. It's a staggered system. Today I filed an I-129 premium processing case for an L1. For I-140s, I can't remember when it's going to reopen because I haven't had an I-140 case, but probably this month it's resuming. If you go to Form I-907, look that up on the USCIS page. It'll give you a breakdown of what the timelines are for resuming. But just keep in mind, not every I-140 could get premium processing. So the EB-1C multinational manager cannot get premium processing. The EB-2C national interest waiver cannot get premium processing, and the EB-5 immigrant investor case cannot get premium processing. So if you have one of those cases, you can't get premium processing. The rest, the system's opening up. USCIS.gov has the timelines of how they set up the reopening of the premium processing system, so you can visit that for exact information. All right, so I'll get one more question in before I call it a day. Thank you everyone for joining. We had a good crew coming and a good sized crew on TikTok as always. Let's see. BB asks again, got conditional green card December 2019. When can I get citizenship? I don't know. It's not when you got your conditional December. At least 3 years after, if you're married, that's the way it is. But yeah, I got to see your case. I don't want to tell you exactly until I know. J1 asks, extended time for proof of criminal that in court. My LCA is still in progress. Can I contact you after LC approval so you take my case. I don't know, Jat Life. You should immediately contact, if it's some criminal or court stuff, you should immediately consult with immigration attorney, immigration attorneys, plural, to review your case as soon as possible, not when the LCA is approved, because we got to check out what's going on if you've had a criminal situation. And so I would have a consultation. I can't say I would take on the case. The point of a consultation is for me to review it, give you my opinion on the case, and for me to decide whether I want to take the case. I don't take every case that comes my way. I reserve the right to not accept a lot of cases, which I do not accept a lot of cases. I'm very picky on the cases I do handle, but that's what a consultation is for. I'll give you enough advice so you feel comfortable that you got some good advice during that meeting so you can rely upon. And so that's what I'm known for. But whether I can take your case, I don't know. And whether you should have a consultation, you should have it as soon as possible. Like start scheduling it immediately, because if you have a court case and this and that, you need to know about immigration law, what's going on. So email an immigration firm, my firm, whatever it is, describe what the issue is exactly that's going on, so we have an idea of what we need to deal with, and then we could take it from there. Okay, with that, thank you for everyone who's joined. Omar, Abid, user 4758, Heather. But we are going to end today's live Q&A. Again, it's Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we answer questions about immigration law, update about things that we could tell you about, and that's that. You can catch the recording of this on YouTube. JQK Law Firm is the handle, the YouTube name. And if you're on Facebook, I'll be back on Friday, but tomorrow I will be on Instagram, JQK Law Firm, tomorrow on Thursday. And on TikTok, I'm here every day, Monday through Friday. Subscribe to the page, click on the Linktree link on my profile and get access to what my newsletter is and website and my reviews on Yelp, just to get to know more about me. And if you wanted to schedule a consultation, it's info@jqqlaw.com. Again, this is just educational general material. You should consult with an immigration attorney in private for help and guidance on your unique and special case to get the best results. I wish you all the best. I'll see you all tomorrow, and stay safe. God bless. Bye-bye.